When you have those tools, something that might have been huge, super dramatic, you don't know what to do, life is too hard because you didn't have the tools, all of a sudden becomes much easier because you have the tools. Imagine trying to build something without tools. It's gonna be hard. But if you have the tools to build it, it gets a little bit easier. Today is a new day. I am Nikki G, your host. Welcome to the Lone Doctrine, a safe space to bridge the gap between your authentic self and your mental health. We are your food for thought exploration station in order to make today better than yesterday. Hello and welcome to another week of the Lone Doctrine. I am super stoked, happy, all the awesome positive words to have you here. I don't know who you are or where you are, but wherever you are, I am so happy because somebody's listening on the other end. This past year and a half, most of us, if not all of us, have felt all the feels, meaning we've felt this kind of isolation and loneliness and confusion and all these different things. So, I have you to thank for somewhat keeping me sane throughout all of this and holding me accountable to continue to work on myself and to continue to be better. And in that took a lot of patience. And ironically, patience is our topic of the month. Now, last week, we talked about the tools, the things you can put into action, because I really believe that we can listen to everything, we can read everything, we could be guided, mentored, taught, all the different things, exploring whatever it may be. But if we don't put them into practice, if we don't truly try to ingrain them and learn them and utilize them, what are we doing? It's just going one in ear and out the other. Now, sometimes, granted, a seed might be planted, but just like any seed, it takes time. And just like any seed, it needs to be nourished. It needs to have water. It needs to have all these different things that help it grow, which takes patience. I feel like in every aspect of life, patience is somewhere in there. Now, we talk about patience a lot. If you go way back in the archives, I'm sure patience comes up multiple times. Now, that may be some weird intertwisting of a time that I needed to grow my patience, and I was just bringing you along with me, or it just keeps coming up in life. And every topic we talk about, there's these interweavings of lots of different things, but one of the most important things is patience. Patience can lead us to positive places. When we learn how to use patience, think about all kinds of scenarios, whether it be an argument or a conflict, or you get into a car accident, or you're waiting in line at the grocery store, or you're having to deal with all your kids, schoolwork, studying, whatever it is, everything will have a more positive outcome if you throw in a little patience. Now, sometimes you just need a sprinkle, and sometimes you need a lot. And sometimes the reserves are empty. And that's why I always emphasize in filling your cup. Really, really cherishing your well being mentally and physically, and arguably mentally more than physically, because those are connected. If your mind's not right, it's going to be 10 times harder to get your body right. So if you have a solid foundation and you know that patience and practice each and every day will lead you towards living a healthier life, then you have a good place to start. And that's what I want to talk about today, just starting. We go through steps. If you go back to last week, which I highly suggest, we can go through different things and start to explore the ideas and the things that will just help us grow. But we have to just start. Have you started? Like for real? Like take a second. I'll ask you again. Have you started to practice patience? That is a really weird question. Has anyone ever actually asked you that? Have you been in a conversation and somebody starts like, "Oh, how are you doing? Have you been practicing patience lately?" Probably not. Because these are the weird things we don't really talk about. We wait until something happens, or we're hurting, or we're going through grief, or we lost a job, or we're frustrated with our kids, or we're really frustrated with school, or we're confused about our sexuality and our gender. All these things come to the surface, and then we start asking about, well, how do I cope with it? How do I get through this? How do I have the patience to push through? Well, think of how different all those scenarios would be if we had the skill set, the tools to get us through, if we had the patience to recognize that we were not going through hard times, but being presented with an opportunity to use those tools, to build that foundation, to build the house. It would make life drastically different. I just want you to start. Start with one thing. Now, if you already have started, awesome. What I want you to do is start again. Start something new. Try something else. Because so many times we think like, okay, I got it. But one thing doesn't work for all things. And we have to have lots of different tools. It's a really weird metaphor, but you have to have a Phillips screwdriver or a flathead screwdriver. Sometimes you can put the flathead screwdriver in and it might work, but sometimes it won't. What I mean is that you want the right tools for the right scenario. That's an analogy off the top of my head. Trust me, they get stranger. And if you've been a long time listener, I pull some weird scenarios out of my mind. But if you dig into the message in them, they make sense. I hope. Well, they at least make sense to me. In that, we just want to be able to take out that tool for whatever we're going through, for whatever moment. And even though we might not have all the tools, the most important tool that we can have is patience. Patience to learn, patience to find that tool. Because no one is perfect. No one has it all together, and that is okay. So many times we think that if we're not perfect, if we're not fine, if we're not fitting into society's ways, if we don't fit into this box, if we don't look a certain way, feel a certain way, function a certain way, like certain things, then we're not worthy. No, 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 and no. Your authentic self, your genuine feelings are what the world needs more than ever. All of the other conflict and contrast with who you are will just cause more friction and in turn will bring on more hardships. So as we build these tools, we want the patience to keep putting things in that toolbox so when all the different inevitable things in life come our way, we can handle them. And ironically, when you have those tools, something that might have been huge, super dramatic, you don't know what to do, life is too hard because you didn't have the tools, all of a sudden becomes much easier because you have the tools. Imagine trying to build something without tools. It's gonna be hard. But if you have the tools to build it, it gets a little bit easier. I want to take a second and just remind you throughout all of this, I would love for you to join me on social media. Whether you need a quote, a good pick me up, you can visit me on Instagram, you can go on Facebook, or you can even go on TikTok to see all kinds of tips and support and really weird things going on in my life, and my puppies, and my wife, and all the really awesome things that I hope to share with you as we all explore this idea of bridging the gap between your authentic self and your mental health. I would really love for you to join me. And I would love even more if you could give your support at patreon.com/Lone Doctrine. patreon.com/Lone Doctrine. We are a listener supported podcast, and any sort of help goes a long, long way in keeping us on air and keeping us fighting the good fight. So check out all those things today, and I can't wait to meet you, hear from you, and all the good things and all the good feels. Do good, be good, do right, feel right. So today I want to keep it kind of short. And yes, I know, every week it's pretty short, but that is purposeful because I believe true change happens in small steps. So we like to give you practical and actionable ideas and food for thought that you can kind of take throughout the week. And you can listen to these short episodes because we know life is getting busier and busier. And you can resonate with probably something different every time you listen. We want to put focus on the important aspect that can really start moving us forward because true change comes one step at a time. It's not an overnight thing. And you have to have patience to take just one step at a time. So today, I just want you to start. If you need help and support on where to start, go back to the last episode. Try the many different aspects we talked about, whether it's just one of them, some of them, or all of them. And really, really give yourself the patience to find what works for you. And most importantly, keep fighting the good fight.